ChatGPT is not just a robot that you can use to cheat on your graded essay or ask random questions at work. It can actually help you on your growth journey by boosting your productivity, by making some daily things easier, like recipe creation when you have nothing in your fridge, or calculating your nutritional needs to stay on top of your fitness goals, starting a business, or even supporting you with daily little emotional problems or habit building. I was recently thinking about how I had discovered hacks and ways you can use ChatGPT as a tool for your growth, and I wanted to share them because they helped me so much and they're so easy for you to try right now. I'm more on the practical side of things, as you're about to see, but it's just as useful to make your growth journey easier and more efficient. Tam Kaur, which is a YouTuber that I'm a big fan of, has an amazing video on using ChatGPT to upgrade your life. I'll link it in the description so you can check it out. She talks about it for productivity, journaling, inspired prompts that you can use for personal development, like finding out some of your thought patterns or just for self-discovery. It's a lot about mindset, like confidence and reframing limiting beliefs that you might have. It's a little bit more subjective. I'm a bit more on the practical side. When you're using ChatGPT, the key to having the best results is to log in, of course, because it doesn't let you put hyper-specific things in unless you're logged in. But that's not really a problem because you don't have to pay to log in. But you have to be hyper-specific with your requests. The more info and the more details you give about yourself or your situation or whatever you're trying to get a result out of, the better the answer will be. So listen well to catch the prompts that I will say so that you can use them for maximum results. I will link my favorite prompt that is really long, so it would be hard for you to listen and copy everything. I'll put it in the description to make it super easy for you. You can just copy paste it into ChatGPT. However, I would warn to not get too obsessed with ChatGPT because it can be a useful tool, but it cannot solve all your problems. It's also important to use your creativity to solve some problems. But remember that it's just a robot and it doesn't have any feelings, especially if you're asking it emotional questions. I think it can become dangerous when you get too dependent on it to solve your every problem. And it should stay a tool, especially in your mind. Like, this is a tool. It is not a person, even if it might talk like one. Seems obvious, but when I just started using ChatGPT, I was very confused because it would talk in such a kind way, and I had to remind myself, like, it is a robot. It doesn't have any feelings. And yes, I did start using ChatGPT really recently, or maybe 6 months ago, when a lot of people were using it way before that, because I was honestly against the idea of ChatGPT. I think still that when it's overused or used badly, like AI can be really dangerous, but using it as a self-growth tool can be pretty harmless if you're doing it right. I mean, the things I'm about to list are pretty innocent. The first one is recipe creation for your lifestyle. It's specific to your lifestyle. So once I had to cook dinner, but I only had about 3 or 4 things in my fridge. So I gave the small list to ChatGPT and I asked it to create a custom recipe according to what I wanted. So high protein, healthy, delicious, and creative, so that I don't get bored of the same recipes. And it gave me a few options and it ended up tasting really good. Fun fact, actually, ChatGPT does not, because I asked it, I was curious. I was like, how do you make these recipes? And it said that it does not pick the recipes on the internet. It doesn't copy paste them. It makes the recipes itself because it was taught various cooking skills. And so it makes it up by itself. So you can trust this, honestly, because I was a bit dubious at first, but every time I used it, it worked. I even used it for my family's one of my relatives' birthday, I had made like a big cake, a layered glazed chocolate cake with raspberries. It was pretty complicated because I had zero experience in layered cakes, and I took the risk, but it turned out amazing and really delicious, and everybody loved it. But on the more healthy side of things, you can say, for example, give me a high protein dinner with zucchini, eggs, and chickpeas, or just insert whatever you have in your fridge. You can also say, give me a 5-day breakfast meal plan with healthy, high protein, and creative recipes. Provide alternatives for dairy because I'm lactose intolerant. Incorporate foods for skin health, or whatever your goal is. Just insert those specific things, especially your goals, because ChatGPT will include a lot of different things so that you can work towards your goals. It could also be create a 5-day meal plan for a dancer who needs joint support and 120 grams of protein daily. That would be me, because I do, among other things, I do ballet. I need joint support. I take collagen for this, but there's a lot of foods that you can take that will help you with this. And I need approximately 120 grams to 140 grams of protein daily. Now, how did I figure this out? It will link very soon to my next points. But it can also give you nutrition info, grocery lists. You can even ask it to find recipes on Pinterest for you, because I really liked the recipes on Pinterest because they're always so creative and amazing. And I feel like people there have a lot of creativity when it comes to recipes. So I was like, pick from Pinterest, and it does that for you. The next thing that I want to talk about is emotional support. I found on the internet, I don't remember where, so I won't be able to put the source, but I did not come up with this. It's an emotional support prompt. So first, you're going to copy paste the prompt that I will link into the description. It's really long, but it like programs ChatGPT to talk to you in a certain tone and give you solutions and basically be your therapist. So then, after you've put that in, you'll write your heart out about what is bothering you, if there is something bothering you. Include the nitty-gritty details, just like if you were writing in your journal. The more details, the more the answer will feel relatable and catered to what you're feeling. You don't need perfect grammar or punctuation, but it has to be clear and understandable. Include your feelings or exactly the situation, describe the people. I don't know why, because I'm a bit weird. I did not want to include the names of the people, so I just put initials, like this guy is named D and this girl is named A, and I would not want to put the names of the people. Maybe it's just being paranoid. But once you've done this, you can ask as many questions as you like. It could be, how do I answer this person without creating problems? What can I do to feel better about this? What will be the most diplomatic thing to say in this situation? Or, I really don't know what to do. I feel horrible about this. How do I move on? And then, because of the prompt that is so specific, ChatGPT will soothe you in a calming tone and provide actionable steps and real actions that you can do to feel better. You can also just write how you are feeling with less details, but it will provide less info if you give less details. So quick examples. I'm not going to read what I actually wrote in ChatGPT in the emotional support conversation because it was really private. But you can just say, like, I'm feeling anxious about this and that, and this happened, and I'm not sure why I'm feeling this way. Can you ask me some reflective shadow prompt questions that I can answer myself to figure this out? Or it could be, I'm struggling with body image and just overall self-perception. What can I do about it? And sometimes it will give you answers that feel really good and can feel like a warm hug when you don't want to talk about it to anyone else. But of course, if you want to talk about it with someone, then it's better to talk to a human, obviously. But if you don't want to share it with everyone, instead of keeping it to yourself, you can write it in your journal or write it in ChatGPT. It's kind of like a journal, except it gives you actual solutions. and things that you can do. Sometimes the answers won't feel as good, but it really depends on how you're feeling. I mean, sometimes its solutions would feel really like it was generated by a robot, which of course it is, but it depends how you're feeling. But really remember though, that it will not replace a real therapist. What I'm talking about is only to feel better for, during everyday common problems. But if you are struggling with depression of some serious thing is bothering you, ChatGPT is not enough to heal your mind. So remember that the solution that ChatGPT proposes you are also only options. Of course, it can seem obvious, but I have to say this. So I'm still going to read the prompt that I found on the internet. So it starts like this. As a personal life coach, your task is to provide support, guidance, and strategies to help me process and manage my emotions during challenging times. This involves creating a safe and confidential space where I can openly discuss my feelings, experiences, and concerns. You will apply your expertise in emotional intelligence and coping mechanisms to guide me through my difficulties, helping me to understand my emotions, identify their sources, and develop effective strategies for dealing with them. Start by asking me about my situation. And honestly, this prompt really worked, so I recommend you try it out. And to just keep it in the same conversation. Don't just only ask questions, don't ask other things, like keep it one conversation that you'll just save. My next thing is room makeover and decor plan. I did this recently. I discovered that it actually worked really well, so I want to share it with you. Soon, I'm going to be moving, if all goes well, to a whole different country, a whole different continent. I'm going to discover Latin America for the first time. And since this podcast is scheduled in advance for August, I'm probably there already when you hear that podcast. But right now, I'm recording this in advance. So I attach a lot of importance to my environment's appearance, and rightly so. My room is really the place where I spend most of my time when I'm at home. I sleep there, I work, I read, I record podcasts. It's my creative space. So the way your room looks will directly impact your productivity and so, of course, your new reality. You will be more inclined to work when your space is clean and aesthetic. This phenomenon actually has been scientifically researched and proven. The colors, the textures, the overall visual effect that your room has an effect on your mood, like directly on your mood as well. I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that blue was a creative color, like it will stimulate creativity. I don't know if that's true, but I know that different colors will induce different moods. So that's really interesting, something really interesting to research. But what I personally said to ChatGPT to create my room plan was, I want you to look through my Pinterest board for my elegant room aesthetic. And then I linked a link to my Pinterest board, and it actually looks through your Pinterest board. Then tell me how I can achieve this look for my new room by telling me about the kind of fabrics, textures, colors, items, furniture, and decoration that I need. Make me a budget-friendly shopping list for each category and link the product to shops nearby my home, and then I wouldn't say your address, again, I'm a little paranoid, but put, around your place of residence, like around where you live. And it actually gave me a step-by-step plan of how I should decorate my room. And it's really given me an idea of how I should decorate my room. And even though I haven't even started buying products because I'm not even there yet, I'm really excited because I can exactly visualize how it's going to look like and how I'm actually going to do it to make it become my reality. Now, I'm the type of girl that has a lot of bullet journals and just journals that I've accumulated over the years because I've started bullet journaling a long time ago, actually. I think I started when I was 10 or 9. So it goes a long way back. But I've always liked organization, rituals, and habit building. It's always been something that I liked and that I would do. And you can actually use ChatGPT for that. You can use it as your personal planner, designer. So you can start by describing what your life routines look like right now, what you want to change, and what your goals are for your new routine that you want to design. And also include how your work or school schedule is so that it can adapt to your personal hours. So you could ask it, create an anti-stress morning routine for increased focus during the day and include several self-care practices. And then include what self-care means to you because it's very different for everyone. Or it can be help me build a habit tracker and a daily ritual for the next 30 days centered around, and then put your goal. It could be gut health. It could be hair health, skin health, or literally anything. It is curated to your life. The next thing that I want to talk about is very intimately linked to the one I just said, which is using it as a diary or a tracker. So you can track your emotions, your cycles, your workouts, your meals, kind of like on a bullet journal, except it gives you solutions, recipes, tips, etc. So you can ask it for shadow work prompts to answer to help you deal with the day that you just described. Like you can even say Dear Diary if you want. Or track your protein intake and then ask it how you can improve your meals for your specific nutrition goals. You can really go onto the internet to search for prompts. There aren't a lot of them, but sometimes you can find hidden gems like the emotional support one that I found. You could put, ChatGPT diary prompt, and then it'll give you the thing that programs ChatGPT to make it even more efficient. You can literally have it as your digital bullet journal. You can even export or print some of them and make it aesthetic and make it into an actual paper journal. Another really important thing that I would like to mention is that it's better if you program ChatGPT by setting your intention at the beginning of a conversation. So what I do is I have several conversations that I never delete, and I only ask related questions on there. So my answers are even more detailed because ChatGPT has so much previous info on what I'm asking because it remembers everything you say only in the same conversation. So for example, I have a podcast conversation, the Supernova Shift conversation, where I ask all questions related to how to make a specific Insta post or how to create a good hook for my podcast. And sometimes I'll even copy paste entire scientific studies in there and ask it to break it down simply for me. So I have, it saves so much time. I don't have scientific studies are so long and complicated, and the language is actually impossible for me to understand. It would take me so much time to read the entire thing. So sometimes I even copy paste the summary because it's like the summary of the summary, because some studies are very long and it makes it more accessible for me because I'm not a scientist. But that way it's going to remember your goal and it's going to help guide you with thoughtful prompts and steps, kind of like an accountability coach. The next thing is probably my favorite one, is calculating your nutritional needs, because I learned that a long time ago in health education class back in school, and it was we would learn about protein intake and calorie intake, and it's actually really hard. I don't remember how to calculate it. I don't remember that kind of stuff. So it helps you calculate it. Recently, I finally understood how freaking important protein intake is, and I realized that I don't eat enough of it, even though I thought I was getting enough. But it's really a non-negotiable, and it should be everyone's goal, whatever sport you practice. But I feel like a lot of girls are like, no, I shouldn't eat too much protein because it's going to make me gain weight. Okay, let me list all the things, all the benefits that eating protein is going to bring you. I mean, protein is the building block of the cells in your body, like the building blocks of your body. So that seems pretty obvious, but for the people who need further convincing, muscles, skin, hair, nails, organs, and even your intestines are made of protein. You need lots of it to build lean muscle mass and be healthy just overall. It's essential for brain function because its amino acids in the protein make the neurotransmitters like dopamine or serotonin. It supports hormone balance since our body is governed by our hormones, like my mom, who's a biology teacher, likes to say. It's really important. It's going to balance your blood sugar levels, stop cravings, reduce anxiety, and regulates your mood, which I think is insane. Like, it has an effect on how you feel. It boosts your metabolism. Check our the metabolism episode was like in the previous episodes, but you can check it out. It supports bone health, muscle recovery, and it does a million other positive things. And if you don't get enough of it, it does a million negative things. So if a high protein intake is not a goal of yours right now, then I don't know what else is. So how much do you actually need? What you're going to do is you're going to start by entering your age, your gender, your height, your weight, and how much exercise you do in 1 week, what type of exercise, and overall how active you are, like the other things that you do. How much do you walk? How much do you cycle? Then ask how much protein and calories you should eat daily. When I asked for my calorie intake, it was just to get a rough idea because I don't count my calories at all. Honestly, I think unless you're a bodybuilder or like a ballerina, you don't have, or, a professional athlete, let's say, I don't think you have to do that. I don't even know if professional athletes count their calories. Like, honestly, I think it's just really bad for your mental health. And if you eat healthy, you don't really need to do that. But I was just curious. So yeah, you can ask both. An example could be, I'm a 21-year-old female. I'm 60 kilos, 172 centimeters tall. I cycle to work 20 minutes every day and back. I do strength training 4 times a week and 30 minutes of running twice a week. I am active and I walk approximately 7K steps a day. How much protein and calories should I eat daily? And then ChatGPT can do the math, and even suggest meal plans, snacks, supplements even though for supplements I recommend you do some more research by yourself. My next one is probably my second favorite. I mean, it is pretty huge, but if you dream to create a business, a podcast, a YouTube channel, writing a book, or whatever it is, you never got started because you didn't know how to do it, there's no excuse now because ChatGPT makes it easier than ever. You just have to get over your fear of failure and your fear of getting started and literally ask it how to get started, and it will give you a step-by-step plan. It's probably way easier than you think, honestly. You could say, okay, I want to sell handmade jewelry. Help me create a name, a Shopify store, and launch a strategy. Or I want to start a podcast about world news. What steps do I take to create a brand, set up an Instagram and a TikTok, and grow an audience? You don't have to be an expert. You just have to ask the right questions. You need to ask what you want to build, and it's going to guide you through the whole journey and just help you with everything. So when something unexpected happens, or something, aka something so-called negative happens, or you can't do something, it will find an easy solution. So we are at the end of this podcast already. So, now you know that ChatGPT isn't just something that students use to cheat on tests. And yeah, basically. It's a planner. You can use it as a nutritionist, a diary, a therapist, a designer, a strategy coach. And it's literally in your pocket right now. Well, I don't know if your phone is in your pocket. Hopefully not, but you see what my point. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to have the right questions. The more details you include, the more the answer will help you grow. So tell me on Instagram, on the Supernova Shift podcast, or in the comments which prompt you're excited to try. And I'll see you next Monday.